Morning friends, it's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm, and today is transplant day. So it's a beautiful sunny morning with a light breeze, and it's about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels really nice right now. I'm super hot and sweaty. So first thing before we transplant is I need to give these guys a bit of an inoculation with all the good stuff so that they go into their transplant holes in good shape. So because these seedling trays are a little too big to fit down inside a 1020 tray, I'm choosing to use my wheelbarrow, which is not really meant to hold water, so it's dripping already, so I got to get moving. But I've got the wheelbarrow with some water in it, and now we're going to add water-soluble calcium. So this is about 1.5 gallons. I'm just going to put a little drizzle in. That's it. Water-soluble calcium, a little bit of fish emulsion with kelp. The final piece is this mycorrhizal fungi, which also has biochar and worm castings and humic acid in it. All right, and we're just going to mix that around real quick, and then we're going to dip our seedlings. Okay, the bupleurum. And literally it's getting just a big bath. It's going to soak up some of that stuff through its roots, and then it will be ready to go into the field. As you can see, these trays are pretty big, so I can't really fit 2 in here and have them soak up enough. So we're going to give that about a minute, and then we'll put the campanula in. Okay, time to switch them. I can see that the soil is wet on the top. Next in. Okay, so seedlings are treated. They are ready to go in. I do have a crop plan in seed time, and I was just walking around trying to decide if I wanted to change it up at all, but I don't think so. This empty section here that I will weed as I go did have cynoglossum in it that I fall planted, but all of it died, which is fine because I've got a whole tray of cynoglossum back at the greenhouse, and it will be ready to go in a couple of weeks. So I am actually going to put the bupleurum in this section here. This is a large section for greenery, and that's pretty much all I'm going to need because I also have all of that, Orlea and Ami Magus. That's a lot of greenery. Plus I've got Sweet Annie and some other stuff coming up soon, a second succession of that stuff coming up soon. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, I also considered at first, before I came out here, putting some in here to fill in some of the holes. But here's the thing. We've got snaps down at that end. I've got scattered status that survived in this end here. And then we've got some ranunculus in here. Now, the ranunculus will come out in like, I don't know, the end of April and or mid-April, and then this will be open again for more of the second successions that we've got going in the greenhouse. So I think what I'll do is I'll still leave this section here. I'll add the rest of the status. Actually, for the first time ever, my status did not germinate well at all, and I'm wondering if the seed is just too old. So I think next year I just need to buy more status seeds and get rid of the ones that I have, because I got like maybe 20% germination, which is bad. So I think they're just really old. They're probably 4-year-old seeds, so it's probably time just to get a new pack. Okay, so I will leave that section there. It's a small section. Status is very productive. I don't need a huge amount of status. But because I know I have things in the greenhouse that are going to need to come out and have space to be planted, I need to be very strategic about what I put where. So I think I definitely won't use up all the bupleurum plugs in here, and that's fine. I can plant some at home, and I have some friends I can give to. I have a budding flower farmer friend that I can give some bupleurum to. And then on the campanula, the seed time crop plan assumes that I had done these by now. But you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there's standing water in this second bed here, still from the rains. Anyway, this was the bed that I was going to put the campanula in, but I'm just going to use this bed that has already been done right here. This one right here has ranunculus, and so of course at some point that will come out and it'll be ready for other things. But I'm going to put the campanula in here. It may not take up the whole bed, and that is totally fine. because now that the Lisianthus isn't coming for another couple of weeks, I have time to finish these 2 beds. I only need 2 beds for Lisianthus. I'm sorry, my nose is running nonstop. And then this final bed on the outside is for more stuff that's still in the greenhouse. So I think that will be the appropriate way to deal with it and not have things get too piecemeal where you're flipping only part of a bed, because that's really annoying. Sometimes it happens, especially when you're smaller scale and you're not growing entire beds of a single variety. I am doing that in some cases, but in most cases not. So I do end up having to flip a bed, part of a bed as it goes. So I think that's gonna be my plan. We'll get these in the ground today, and then I have a meeting at 12:30, so I'm kind of on the clock at this point. Yeah, I've got about 2.5 hours to get this done. I got a meeting at 12:30 with a group that is over where I used to be at Fish Ranch. This group is interested in getting bees, and I just so happen need to split both of my hives. So I offered to meet with them today. They are going to be working with a local beekeeper, which is awesome because I barely have time to deal with my own bees. So they'll be working with her, and I will defer to her in everything today because I'm still a beginner. This is only my 3rd year with bees. And so I told them I'd be happy to raise 2 nukes for them. But they're going to have to give me like boxes and everything because that's how you do it. I'm not going to buy the boxes for them unless they're going to pay me, obviously. So I'm meeting with them today about that, and looking forward to that. That'll be really fun. And then the rest of the afternoon is going to be back in the greenhouse. So I got to get all those herbs started in soil blocks and bump up all the tomatoes. So another busy day, a very lovely day. It's going to be beautiful the next week. No rain, but we're going to have temperatures in the low 60s, which is like perfect working weather, and sunny. And then at night, it's only going down to like 38. So good for the plants. All right, I'm going to get started. I want to get these guys in the ground. I'm going to weed this bed. There's not much to weed, but I'm going to weed as I go. Just pull up the bits of grass that are there as I go. And I need to very soon order the wood chips for here, because as you can see, the pathways are getting overgrown with grass, which is okay right now, but it becomes a pain in the butt. I can come through with a string trimmer, but it's really challenging to not hit hit parts of the bed with that string trimmer, and also to not fling. It just flings grass everywhere, which can be a good mulch, but right now I want some order and control. I don't want it to look like a big mess. So I do want to get this cardboard down really soon. All right, I'm going to get started, and hopefully we can get both these trays done in our time block.
My hair on the open road.
well, that task for the day is done. It's not really a task, it's kind of fun. So we have a whole bed of campanula. This is mixed colors here. And I still have like half the tray left, which is great. I'm gonna put a bunch in my cottage garden. I think that will look really, really fun. Campanula is a really pretty flower. And I have started it from seed before, but haven't had a whole lot of success. And so this was very inexpensive and I decided to go with that. So they will also direct sow themselves in my garden. So I'm excited about that. But since we're down at this end, I just wanted to show you really quick. The tulips are coming up. And of course there's no, since I attached the tags, this is the first time it's ever happened to me that the tags completely wore away. So I do know what some of them are, and the others I just have to look back on the video because it was clear on the video what they were, so it's no problem. But they're coming up, and the reason these guys are coming up later, or not now, is because they are later in the season flowers. So I made sure that I put the earliest season down here, and then it's like mid to late, so that I could use this bed as it goes for other things. Okay, the other thing I wanted to say is that I'm going to dig down and put a narrow wire cage along this trellis before I install the, before I transplant the sweet peas. Yes, there are some daffodils in here, but those were just last minute, like I popped them in, but you can see all the holes. I know there's gophers and rats here. Actually, this is all rat holes. I don't want to knowingly put plants out here knowing that they're going to get torn up and destroyed. So I'm gonna do that. That shouldn't be very hard at all. That's just digging a little trench and putting a narrow basket in there. I even already have hardwood cloth still out here. And then the other two daffodil beds. Okay, it's really, really hard to tell because of all the weeds. I don't care about the weeds right now. There's daffodils in here that haven't started really coming up yet, but these guys are coming up. Again, I think I labeled them in the plan map. These will be going into bouquets as well as wholesale, and they're just going to be here forever because nothing eats the daffodils. So these beds are not lined with hardwood cloth. This is the perfect thing to plant in them. And I can let the weeds grow up while the daffodils are blooming and also while the greenery is dying back, and then I can just mow the whole thing down once they die back. The ranunculus bed up here that has Romance Maritime ranunculus in it, very spotty. So this bed is packed with ranunculus. There's not that many of them that actually ended up coming up. Got quite a bit of grass in here. I'm not too concerned about that. Basically, I'm not going to say this is anybody's fault, but it's just the way it happened. These are very expensive corms that you cannot save to next year. These are patented, and in order to grow them next year, I have to buy them again next year. So I don't know, I might think twice. I think there's only 50 in here. This is not a huge amount. They definitely weren't cheap. However, we'll still get some pretty flowers out of them. I'm just kind of disappointed that not all of them came up, and nothing is eating these. This bed is deep and it's got hardwood cloth in the bottom, and there's no holes in it anywhere. So I know nothing's crawling in here and eating them. I think those particular corms just did not, once they pre-sprouted, they just didn't make it after that. That's okay. We're still going to get some beautiful ranunculus out of them, and these are really stunning ranunculus. But again, I'm sure I'll buy more next year, maybe a different variety of romance, but yeah, these you can't save. So once I'm done with this is another bed. I think I'm going to grow a bunch of vegetables in this bed because, again, it is protected, and I can even cover it if I want to. So yeah, this is going to be a good veggie bed. I might do a small Three Sisters garden in here where I can put some of those, a handful of those squashes, as well as some corn and stuff, because corn is what really gets attacked by the rodents. They love it, just like people. And of course, still to come in the next couple of weeks, this area needs a lot of work. So these two beds have, well, this whole bed and half of this bed have wintered over chrysanthemums in there. Not every hole though, because some of them just didn't make it. So I'm trying to winter them over, but I don't know. I think what I'm going to do, because I do have more mums coming, I think I'll write down and take photos of all the varieties. I know what's in here right now because the stakes are still here. But I think I'm going to, in all the empty holes that didn't make it, because again, these beds are not protected with hardware cloth, so they did get some rodent disturbance. But chrysanthemums have a chemical in them called pyrethrin, and that is what they make pest repellent with, like insect repellent. And so they excrete that into the soil. So yes, the rodents, the gophers did mess with some of them, but I did have quite a few plants here, and I left as many as I could when I cleared this out. So I think what I'll do is I'll make note and I'll intersperse them. So I'll have some different colors in here from this year's crop coming in, but I don't want to waste this space. And so I need to clean off the beds, because you can see all the soil that's on top is from where the rodents were digging underneath and kicking it up. So I can't really lift this landscape fabric with the plants still in there without messing them up. So I need to try my best to like clean off the top and get this ready for planting when the mums come in May. And then this bed is, I am going to pull everything off of it, weed it, dig it out, make a basket again. This one will be a protected bed. And then depending on how the mums do, they may all get pulled out, and I'll do these 2 beds for next year. We'll just see. Now this bed down here is also not protected. This bed will get more soil, a top layer, it'll get weeded again. And then this is a sunflower bed, the entire bed. We'll do it in successions. I had really good luck with sunflowers here last year as transplants, but the direct sown things just didn't make it. Again, those seeds are a favorite of birds and mice, and so I am only going to transplant sunflowers. Basically, at this point in my flower farming career, my gardening career, I don't direct sow anything that I can't for sure transplant because I just lose too many things, and it's not worth it. It's not worth all the effort. I'd rather take the effort of sowing the seed in the greenhouse, controlling its environment, and then putting it out as a much bigger plant than direct sowing in the garden and then having most of those fail or not come up at all. I kind of wanted to roll out the hardware cloth today in this bed, but look, it's like still standing water. It is so soupy. And then here's the Bupleurum, kind of hard to see because they're very tiny, but I did end up getting half the tray in there. So there's about 144 Bupleurum in there. They are spaced mighty close, and I did that intentionally because I had so many seedlings. And also, sometimes this tight spacing, these are about 5 inches apart, will cause the plants to have taller stems because they are all competing for sun and air. And so I'm going to do that with these guys. That might be why I have such hugely tall Ami Mages over there, which I've never grown that tall before. Okay, so that's it for me out here. I got to go to my meeting, get something to eat, and then I'll meet you back in the greenhouse. So it's much, much later in the day. My meeting went really well. It was hard to leave. I enjoyed catching up with Meraki so much and meeting the new gal that she's working with, who is a much more skilled beekeeper than me. That was really, really fun. But then I totally forgot that I had a 3 p.m. appointment with my neurologist on Zoom, which is nice, but it's also a gift because it was supposed to be in July. It got pushed out that far because of scheduling. So many people needing to see her, but then they had an opening, so they had called me like a week ago. And I totally forgot. So I had to do that, and I just got off the phone with her, so that was great. We're going to try some new things for my migraines. Okay, but right before that, I had like a 20-minute window, so I came out here, I made a bunch of soil blocks to get these herbs sown. And so in here, I've got all the basil. So I've got Genovese, Tulsi, the lemon basil, and the dark opal. Now there's more of these because they're mostly for flower production, but sit these on a seedling heat mat. Then I've got these 2 trays for lemon balm, Italian parsley, chamomile, dill, catnip, and sweet marjoram. So I'll have 20 of each. That's a lot of herbs, but again, a lot of these are going to be going to the seedling sales, and some of them will be going in our garden. I'll probably just gift a lot of them as well. So once this is done, then we're going to start potting up tomatoes. They really need it, and I'll be out here until it gets dark enough that I have a hard time seeing. I do have lights in here, but not over the potting table. And so once it gets dark outside, the lights behind my back make it still kind of hard to see. So we'll work as long as we can, and then that'll be it for the day. I'll have to come back and finish it tomorrow because it's a lot of tomatoes to pot up. I almost hit record before I turned off the music. I would have gotten busted for a copyright claim for playing REM. Okay, so I've got a bunch of pots filled. These are 2.5-inch pots from Bootstrap Farmer. They are very thick plastic. I've had them for a couple years. I actually just purchased more that are coming tomorrow because I'm going to need them. These guys will last for a very long time, and they are nice and tall, so they give a lot of root run for a lot of plants. It lets them stay in here way longer. And for tomatoes, I'm going to be burying them very, very deep so that we can get a nice, strong, sturdy plant. So tomatoes have the ability to grow roots out of their stems anywhere along their stem. And so if you bury your tomato when you get it in the ground, almost up to the first set of leaves, you will have way more root system to hold the plant in place. Also a lot more root system to deliver nutrients to the plant and help it produce fruit. And it will allow all those roots really help to support the size of the plant. So, you know, the bigger it gets, the more unruly it is. If you have a nice big root system, that'll help it get bushier, give you more of a stable base. Okay, so what we're going to do is take these apart. This will be pretty easy because these are bigger soil blocks than the 3/4 inch. So it's a little bit easier to tease these apart than when they're in those tiny soil blocks. So let me show you how we're going to pot these up. Okay, so I've got my pot here. It's got this mixture of soil in here is just bagged potting soil with some compost, vermicast, and a little bit of starter fertilizer in here. So nothing super special. I'm going to poke my finger way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to try to tease apart one of these tomatoes. There we go. This is the smallest one here, but you can see here's the soil block, and there's some roots coming out the side. I'm going to pop this guy down pretty deep, and then we're going to, whoops, surround it with soil. And this potting soil is damp. So I could go deeper with this one, but it'll be fine. Let's add a little bit more soil. All right, and then these guys will get watered in and we'll be off to the races. They will actually really start to grow very fast once they're in these pots. Here's another one. You can see that nice root system there in these soil blocks. I'm gonna dig my hole. Drop my tomato in. Yeah, that one's better. It's more in the center of the pot. And then I'm just going to apply soil around it. And yeah, it's down to the bottom, and I still have more stem. So you can do this burying up to the stem multiple times. So when I go to put this guy in the ground, I will probably either lay it on its side and then the greens will head towards the light, or I will just bury it super deep like I did here. So you can continue to do that trick of burying it deep every time you transplant it. All right, so I'm going to get started, get the rest of these done. I'm going to label them once I get through a variety because I don't know how many I'm going to have, so I don't want to make up the labels in advance and end up not needing that label. Okay, so that is 20 San Marzano tomatoes. I'm not going to bother planting this one up. It still, after all this time, only has its cotyledon leaves and just starting to get new leaves. So I'm, some of these were questionable, like this one. Wasn't too sure, but it did seem to have some true leaves starting. But if they're not further along, then I'm not going to bother potting them up because I have plenty of tomatoes. Okay, so I'm going to write out wooden stakes for each of these labels to mark them, and then I'll move on to the others. So I will check back in with you after I get as far as I can get. My back is actually killing me, so I don't know. We'll see how long I go out here. There's always tomorrow, and that's totally fine. So I'm going to get started, see how far we get, and then I'll check back in with you. Okay, y'all. I'm done. Not only because it's getting late and I'm getting hungry, but I'm out of those 2.5 inch tall pots. So here's the first tray. We've got the San Marzano in the back. I've got 11 Amish paste up front here. And then beginning of the second tray, we've got 11 more Amish paste here. And this is Sun Gold tomatoes, but I don't have any more of these pots. I do have these. These are 2-inch pots, which you can see are quite a bit smaller. And I want these guys to have a nice deep root system. This is just too small. So tomorrow's Friday, and the shipment of more plastic domes as well as more of those pots comes tomorrow. So I'm just gonna call it a day because I still have another whole tray of tomatoes over here that needs to get potted up, and I don't have stuff for those right now. So the other tomatoes are back here, and I'm gonna leave them for a while. A lot of these are just too tiny, but even the ones that are bigger back there, I might leave those for a little bit longer. I don't know. Maybe I'll pot those up tomorrow as well. We'll see. I want to wait to do more until I get those bigger pots. It just makes a bigger difference in terms of their viability and their growth rate. If I put a bunch in those little tiny 2-inch pots, they would be a little more stunted than the other ones. They wouldn't take off as much, and I kind of want to put everything out in the garden at the same time. So, all right, that's gonna be it for me today. I'm gonna spend some time covering everybody up in here to make sure they stay safe from mice overnight. And then tomorrow, we're going to be here. The compost and the wood chips got delivered today while we were out at the farm transplanting. So I'm really excited because I want to get the beds in the front, tidied up, pull up the irrigation, put down new compost, make them nice and flat, and put the irrigation back down. Part of the reason I want to make them nice and flat is that then over the next couple nights, I can see where the holes are. Because right now everything's so trampled, it's really hard to see where the tunnels for the rats are. So I'll wait till those appear, then I'll start setting more traps again. It's going to be a while before I put things out in the garden, so I'm not too worried about that. I'll have time to catch and kill, unfortunately. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. I'm probably going to have to go to the farm and get the wheelbarrow, maybe. I don't know. I might just use buckets. Just depends on how my elbow is feeling. But using buckets, even though it's harder on the back, it's a little bit nicer because it's more precise control-wise because it's smaller amounts. I don't know. We'll see. See how I'm feeling tomorrow. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.